GCI the Shot's #1 for hip hop and R&B and home of Big Jam 2018, starring Cardi B, happening this Saturday at the United Center. We got some tickets for you a little bit later on this morning, but right now we have a guest in studio. We got to get to it.
Yes, we do.
Welcome, Chicago. Man, she's here hanging out with us. She's the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Cook County State's Attorney, I should say it that way. Miss Kim Foxx is here hanging out with us today. How you doing?
Yes, Kim Foxx in the building.
Good morning.
Girl, I've been trying to get you on the radio since forever.
You have. I'm glad to be here.
Yes.
It's good to see you. We see you out all the time, so you're very visible in the city. You're at a lot of events. You're doing a lot of good things in the city, and it's good to actually have you here today.
It's good to be on the station that my kids listen to.
How old are your kids?
Y'all are doing me a huge favor.
How old are your kids?
I have 4. So I have 2 biological children and 2 children that we took in. And so between 13 and 16.
Oh,
so,
nice.
No, this
all teenagers too?
All teenagers. Ooh. No, this is popping. So, you know, they want me to be like, Cardi B.
Wait, say their names. Give them a shout out. Give them a shout out.
Sure. Kai Fox, Kendall Fox, Sydney Abajian, and Savannah Abajian.
Yes, sir. So I know we're going to hear Tonka Palm out because, you know, we're talking to an SIU alum over there.
So let's start for everybody that doesn't know exactly what you do and what the Cook County State's Attorney Office handles. You know, how would you describe your job to the person that does not know?
Man, so first and foremost, I'm a lawyer, and so I'm the chief prosecutor for Cook County. So to put that in perspective, we prosecute every felony, misdemeanor, traffic case that happens in Cook County. So that's City of Chicago and all of our suburbs. So everything from someone who blows a red light, doesn't pay parking tickets, to first-degree murder, drug cases, rapes, and everything in between. So we're the second largest prosecutor's office in the country, second only to Los Angeles. We have about 800 lawyers. Last year we had about 40,000 felony cases and almost 200,000 misdemeanor cases.
God, that's a lot. Those are high numbers. No?
It's way too much.
Yeah.
It's way too much. When you look at us compared to New York and Los Angeles, we do more volume of work than both of those cities.
All of these cases where you guys are handling these charges are on behalf of the state?
That's right. So we represent the people of the state of Illinois. And so when someone is hurt, right, let's say if someone is a shooting victim, that person is the person who is the actual victim, but the crime is committed to all of us, right? So we the people means that if you hurt someone in our society, you owe a debt to all of us. And so we represent the people of the state of Illinois in those prosecutions.
Okay. So let's talk about police shootings because, you know, in Chicago, we had a very popular case that we watched for the last 3 years unfold with Jason Van Dyke.
Yeah.
And the person that had the job prior to you, Kyle mentioned it off the air, Anita Alvarez, a lot of people felt as though she mishandled that situation. I'm not quite sure if you can confirm that or not, but what is the role of you in those situations?
Yeah, so anybody who commits a crime, it has to come through a prosecutor's office, right? So if you're a police officer or a plumber, it is the prosecutor's job to bring charges if charges are warranted. In the Van Dyke case, it had taken 13 months before my predecessor filed charges in that case. And what was so unsettling about that was if you saw the tape, most of us have seen the tape, this wasn't a whodunit. You know who did it, right? Cases can take a long time if you don't know who it is, if you need forensic evidence. This was a video. And so she waited until hours before the video was going to be released to the public to bring the charges. So after that, she was in the middle of a race. She was running against me. And then after that, she lost in the primary. So she asked for a special prosecutor to prosecute the case because there was going to be about 8 months between when she lost the race and I came in. So Joe McMahon from Kane County is who actually prosecuted that case.
Wow.
Oh, so was she supposed to do it?
It started in the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. She lost, and then I was going to come in as the new State's Attorney, and she said before I could come in, give it to somebody else.
Right.
But they didn't want you to do it.
Pick up the pieces, basically.
Right. Correct.
Because you would have had to do it if so.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
So question.
Well, go ahead, ask your question.
No, I'll wait till we come back. All right,
so we got to take a break. We're coming back. Leon's got the first question up next inside the next break. State's Attorney Kim Foxx is here hanging out with us this morning, and we definitely appreciate your time. Chicago, don't go anywhere. Right now, his job role always on top.
107.5 WGCI, the Shot's #1 for hip hop and R&B. Also the home of Big Jam 2018 featuring Cardi B. 8 other acts, 9 acts total on stage. Make sure you get your tickets. Log on to WGCI.com. We have a special guest in the house today.
Yeah.
Crazy like a fox.
With 2 X's.
You know, 2
With 2 X's. Ms. Kim Foxx is definitely here representing out of the state's attorney's office today. We appreciate you having us.
Thank you.
Or appreciate us having you being here this morning.
Yeah, no, I've been very excited to come on, so thank y'all.
No doubt.
I know Leon has a question, but I wanted you to add one more thing to the Jason Van Dyke thing that we were just talking about. There's been so much conversation about how much time he will get. Now, is it going to be 30 years max, or could he potentially get this 90 years that we've heard about?
Yeah. So the judge has a range of things that he can do. So each count of aggravated battery, which was the more serious of the charges, I think people don't realize that the second-degree murder doesn't carry the most sentence.
They just hear murder.
Yeah, they hear
think
murder. But that's actually
TV, murder.
Yeah, that's probationable.
Right.
The aggravated battery with the firearm is a Class X, so he can get a minimum of 6 years for each of those counts.
How many counts does he have?
16. For one for each shot.
And if they run consecutive.
And if they run consecutive, so the difference between consecutive and concurrent. Consecutive means back to back to back to back for each count. Concurrent means that you can do it all at one time. The judge hasn't decided yet. We'll know at sentencing whether he chooses to have him serve the sentence consecutively or concurrently. That's within the judge's discretion.
When's the sentencing? We don't know still.
We don't know still. They're still doing post-trial motions, things that are going to go up on appeal. He will be sentenced while this case pens appeal, but they're still doing motions right now.
Why do things like that take so long? When some cases are up and done with, and in some cases, stretch out over years? Why is that?
That's one of the, I think, disgraceful things about our justice system is justice should be swift and certain. Yeah. When you have people waiting 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 years for a case to go to trial, if you're a victim and your family is like grieving and wanting this to be over with. Some of it is around, technology. Some of it is around forensics. There was a story in the newspaper just yesterday about it's taken at least a year for rape kits to get tested in the state of Illinois.
That's crazy.
Bullet analysis, all that stuff is taking way longer than it should. And sometimes, the courts just aren't incentivized to move quickly.
Gotcha.
So I want to ask you something on the personal side.
Yeah.
Of your job, because you've seen a lot doing what you're doing. My family is actually going through something right now where we have to sit in court and watch a prosecutor on our side try to win a case. And unfortunately, the first one didn't turn out very well. But as a prosecutor or as a lawyer, period, how tough is it for you to bounce back from a case where you've got all the facts, all the evidence, and maybe just on a technicality because the other lawyer proved out, you lose something real big? How do you deal with that as an attorney? And how do you deal with how some people look at you as like the devil because you trying to put little man in jail when little man got a rap sheet longer than his body? How do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis as far as you yourself when you look in the mirror? How do you take that?
Look, it's a tough job. It's a tough job. I'm the first African-American elected to this position, first African-American woman to serve. I'm married to a black man. I have my concerns for him and his safety and the safety of my children are paramount, right? I grew up in Cabrini, so I've seen people get shot and hurt and wanted people to advocate for my community as hard as they advocated for others. I'm the victim of sexual assault, and I talk about wanting someone to fight for me and what happened to me, and that's how I see my role, is that we talk about the one part, right? The people who come in as defendants, and we should be thoughtful, compassionate, and make sure that they get the type of defense that they deserve. But we should also talk about the other side, is when we talk about how many homicides in the city of Chicago we have, the overwhelming majority of them are young black boys, young black men. And so when people come at me and say, how could you do that work? I said, why wouldn't we want someone who looks like us, who has the same experiences that we have, to do this work with the level of compassion and understanding? Because your point is right, Leon. I know game when I see game, right? And I could be honest.
Come on, Kim.
I could be honest. Don't try to run me. You know what I mean? We're not gonna fix problems in our community if we try to run game on one another. But it's hard work. I mean, I deal with people who have some of the worst losses in their lives or some of the worst tragedies that happen. And when we aren't able to deliver justice in the courtroom, these are human endeavors. It ain't perfect, right? And I've also seen where we've had people in prison for 30 years for crimes they didn't commit, who we let out when we find out that the wrong person is in. So it's hard. I mean, it really, my faith, my family, doing this work in my city gives me the energy to keep going, even though it is, I think, one of the most difficult jobs in elected office. Because it's not, I'm not building, you know, painting potholes over. Right. I'm dealing with people in the worst moments of their lives.
Chicago, you're listening to the Cook County State's Attorney, Ms. Kim Foxx, who is hanging out with us. We're going to take a break and come right back. This is a very great conversation.
Yes, it is.
I appreciate you being here. We're going to take a break and come back more with Ms. Kim Foxx. Right now, let's check traffic. GCI decides #1 for hip-hop and R&B and home of Big Damn 2018 happening Saturday at the United Center. Leon Rogers, Kendra G, myself,
Leon
Kyle.
Rogers, Esquire.
Yes, Esquire, yes.
I have a Stoop company in the building.
We do have a Stoop company in the building, man. The first African-American woman to lead the Cook County State Attorney's Office, Ms. Kim Foxx, is here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Before you go any further, can you resonate on that for a second? The first African-American woman.
Yeah.
That is so major. And I was saying this off there, but I want to say it on the air. You're the reason why I made sure I had to vote. Like, I was like, first of all, you're a beautiful black girl, chocolate at that. Your name begins with a K, Kim.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had to make history with you. So I just love you so much.
Thank you, Kendra. I love you, too. We was, like, fangirling each other.
What does that mean for you, though? I mean, we talked a little bit about the fact that you're from Chicago, you grew up in the projects, you know what I mean? You come from that real experience where a lot of people in our community come from, where you have to come up through the hardships to make something out of yourself. And now you're still dealing with people that are living in those hardships every day with the job that you do.
Yeah, it's an honor and a privilege, right? Like, I tell people all the time, my kids can't stand it. Like, we get it. You're from the projects, right? But kids in these neighborhoods don't know what's possible for them. They don't see the hope. Yeah. And people who don't live in those neighborhoods, who make judgment about the people who live there, right, don't believe that they have promise. And I'm like, I'm one of them, right? If I can do it. I tell people all the time, they're always like, how'd you make it out? How'd you do it? You know, all these things happening. And usually it's people who are from outside our communities. Kim, tell me how you did it. I said, if you think about the question is, you know, I was supposed to fail, right? You know that all of those circumstances were set up for me to fail. So you marveling at how I succeeded. Why are we okay with setting up failure for everybody else in those neighborhoods? And so it's a privilege for me to come from where I come from, to speak for people who don't get in the rooms that I get into. They don't sit at the same galas. I mean, you sit at Leon.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, they don't.
Stuck out here.
Just straight G'd up, right? They don't get to do that. And so to be able to bring their voices, both as people who have been victims of crime and even those who have been accused, right? Everybody knows somebody. I got people in my family who've gone to prison.
What do you think the catalyst was for your ability to transcend those things? I personally feel like, you know, having family that's been in the same situations, it starts with the mindset. And a lot of times people don't see what they can actually be. Right. And if you never show them certain things, they just go about living what they see every day in the neighborhoods.
Yeah, somebody mentioned this last week, I think it's Wes Moore. Someone said, are you a product of your environment? And if that's the case, we have a lot of people living in environments that's just going to crush them. Yeah. I was the product of my expectations, right? I told my mother I wanted to be a lawyer, and she said, well, that's it. I said that at 6. And my mother would introduce me everywhere. She gonna be a lawyer. She gonna be a lawyer. I'm like, well, I was just saying, you know, right? Like other people was like, oh, I'm being astronaut. She's like, nah, forget that. You already said it, right? And my mother instilled that in me. And we have so many young people who don't have someone instilling that. I didn't see any lawyers. The best lawyer I knew was Claire Huxtable. That was it. But my mother instilled that. And so I really believe that I can do it. We don't have enough people telling our young people that they could do it. We don't have it. We don't have enough.
State Attorney Foxx, how do we break the cycle, or how do we build the trust back up between, especially inner city African American people, and the police and positions that you're in? Because, you know, unfortunately, I know a lot of brothers that have done time or whatever, and they never say anything nice about, you know, the prosecutor, because that was the person that put them in jail. So how do we build the trust back between police, between officers like yours and the people,
Yeah.
where they be like, okay, you know what, they are here for the betterment of us and not the worst.
So we gotta be honest with people, right? Like, this is a relationship, and I say you can't have a good relationship if you not being honest with why it's broken. And so people in the neighborhoods don't have a bad taste in their mouth just because they've individually interacted with somebody that didn't go well. We had John Burge, right? We had like a history of racism that goes way back, and communities of color, black communities, were impacted. And so I'm always honest. Like, look, I came into an office that historically hasn't treated black people well, both victims and the accused. And I said we've had people in jail, the Watts cases, for example, Sergeant Watts, who went to prison for shaking down people in Ida B. Wells, for planting evidence. But there were hundreds of men. What happened to their cases? Yeah. And so if I know somebody that got shook down by a police officer and went to prison because the prosecutor prosecuted them, and I know they didn't do it, why would they trust us? And so I've been real deliberate about, listen, we got to work on our conviction integrity unit. We have to right those old wrongs. We have to acknowledge it. To this day, I've been in office almost 2 years, come December 1st. We have exonerated 57 people in 2 years, and we're still going.
There's been a lot, because I do the headliners, and we've been doing a lot of those the last couple of years. Yeah.
With an apology, right? This one woman said to me, people say to us, I'm sorry that happened to you, offline, like in corners, but not publicly. The system has to own when the system fails, and it's not good at that. And so what I've done to try to build that trust is say, listen, we failed, and I'm sorry, and we're going to work to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And you just have to keep showing up. You can't just tell people, trust me. You got to show them.
No doubt.
Before we go, real quick, I know we're about to go. Trayvon Martin, I was talking about you, talking about it with you off the air, but I watched the documentary that Jay-Z produced, and when you watch it, you see how George Zimmerman didn't go to jail because the prosecutor did not do a good job to me at all. And you said you were actually, like, you watched that live time, and that inspired you to do what you, because that would have been you if it would have been in Chicago, right?
That's right. I watched that, and I remember just the whole trial didn't seem like they were giving their best, right? It seemed like they had to put it on because people were complaining. Yep. And I remember when the not guilty came, and it happens, we just talked about this with Leon off air, like, it happens. That's part of the work, that you're not going to get a guilty in every case. But the first thing that this woman did was went to a press conference. Here you have a family who did not get justice for their son. The mother, the father is devastated. The first thing you do is go console them. The first thing you do is say, I did my best, I'm sorry. You go to them. She went to a press conference, and I knew immediately that that wasn't about Trayvon. That wasn't about Trayvon's family. That was about her. And that public service can't be about where you going next. It's about the people that you serve first. And so I was like, I want that job. I want to do that. I want to represent people in the way that Trayvon deserved to be represented.
Aww.
I'm glad that you're in the office. I think we're happy to have you in the position that you're in. I think we're lucky to have you in the position that you're in. And you've shown today why so many people entrusted you with that position, just with some of the positions you've explained to us here. So thank you very much for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Chicago, Kim Foxx, man, Cook County State's Attorney, definitely hanging out with us this morning.
And I want to say, since you got your position, thank you for bringing me on as senior file consultant. Paperwork.
Yeah.
I'm so honored to take this position.
Don't trust him, Kim. Don't trust him.
Well, now that I did that for him, I'm now like a correspondent for GCI. I'll be with Cardi B on Saturday night.
Kim, there's only going to be one black chocolate girl working at GCI. Now, I love you. All I'm to cut you, girl.
All right, Chicago, Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
Speaking of Cardi B, let's get to this money. It's WGCI.